Oh, I can't get over that sound. I would get such bad gas mileage if I owned this bike because I'd always be in the throttle, like 24/7. It just sounds amazing. All right, what's up everybody? Today we got Kevin and his fantastic, I'm gonna say it in 3 different words because I don't know what the correct spelling is. Ténéré, S10. S10.
People just say S10.
So this is a Yamaha, we're just gonna call it Ténéré, and you can correct me later if I'm wrong. And I particularly like these bikes because they were a prominent figure in Dakar in the 80s. If you look back in like 86, 87 Dakar, they had some pretty competitive history. And you'll look at like a blue giant fuel tank and it just looks mean. And Yamaha really put out a really good race bike in Dakar. And well, now in modern day times, they still do. And right here we have, what is this, a 1200?
Yeah, 1200 twin, parallel twin.
Parallel twin. So you got 2 cylinders. And I mean, what's the firing order on this? Is it like this?
1 and then 2?
Well, touche. Is it? I've always wondered that because some engines they have both cylinders firing at the same time with a counter.
There's an offset.
A little bit of offset.
So whenever you ride it, you'll feel there's a lag, which is actually great for off-road. So there's a moment where the tire kind of stops slipping,
right,
and it'll grab again. But I don't know the degrees.
Yeah.
But.
And what year is this particular bike?
2013.
So 2013. I mean, it looks, think about it, it's almost 10 years old and it looks brand new, like modern.
It looks identical to the ones they just released. They've got a 2023 that just came out. There was, I think, a 2 or 3 year lull where they stopped.
Really?
Yeah.
So they haven't changed hardly in
So I think the 14 has electronic suspension.
Okay.
So this one doesn't. And I think they might have gone to like a different type of display package, but.
Now what made you want one of these?
Well, it was for sale.
Well, that's a good start.
I got it at a good price. I've got street bikes, I've got, you know, cafe racers and stuff, but this, I wanted something that I could take on a long haul.
Yep.
It was comfortable, I could put a backpack on, or 2 up, and ride longer with somebody on the back, and then have the ability to hit fire roads. I've done a few single tracks. It gets kind of sketchy, but
I can imagine. What does it weigh?
Just under 600 pounds.
I mean,
that's without any kind of stuff on it. So
I love the design aesthetic, though. I mean, obviously it's got pretty dang good ground clearance. That skid plate's phenomenal. The crash bars, I mean, have you utilized those yet?
Once.
Yeah,
but it was in sand.
And you feel like it did its job?
They didn't move. They didn't move at all.
And fuel tank capacity, what's the tank capacity of this guy?
I think 4.5.
Okay.
And I get about 55, 60 miles per gallon.
And there's 2 engine variants of this, right? There's the, did you say there's a 700?
There's a 700, totally different bikes.
Totally different bikes.
Different.
Okay. And is that an adventure bike as well, or?
It's more 50-50.
50-50.
So it's a true adventure bike. This is like an 80-20.
80-20.
Some cool things about this while I'm thinking about it. So the electronics are all in here, and these are just oh, right here. These are quarter turn.
Okay.
So I can pop this whole panel off. I just quarter turn them, like Zeus fasteners.
And the entire computer system is right
Everything's in there. I've got a power distribution board that's Eastern Beaver, so I've got like hardwired fuse to my battery and accessories and all that stuff. I mean, not like there's a fusible side and there's a hardwired side, but I put everything fusible because I'll forget and kill my battery.
And you have some pretty nice lights set up. So are these factory, or did you add these on?
No, that's all added. So the bar these, the skid plate. Oh, these are alt rider. These are alt rider, and I can't remember what these are. But actually, there's a really cool thing. The factory pegs look almost like this, but they've got a rubber kind of riser in the middle. So whenever you're just resting your foot on it, it's sitting on the rubber, but when you stand, it deflects enough where your foot hits the metal.
Oh, that's ingenious.
So it's super grippy.
And reliability wise, how's this been?
It's 40, let me see, almost 47,000 miles on it.
Wow.
And I just put gas in it. The owner, 2 prior to me, lived in the Pacific Northwest and just rode it, like he long hauled it.
So reliability's been pretty
it's great.
good.
I've got to do a cam chain tensioner, because the original one's it's a hydraulic system and it gets weak. So you can upgrade to either the current gen or just put in a manual.
Okay. And this obviously has got a drive shaft.
It's a drive shaft, yeah. So whenever you hold the front brake and give it a little gas, it'll stand up on you instead of squat like most bikes.
Really?
Yeah. So it's a little different, but it's
pretty maintenance free though. I mean, besides
it's
grease and
super maintenance free. I just changed all the fluids, completely everything, maybe 2 months ago.
Let's hear it fire up, because this has a pretty distinct sound, being a.
And it's a Delvic system, so it's not factory, but.
I mean that, neutral. That sounds pretty darn good. So for an ADV bike, would you recommend this over, like, let's say the Africa Twin? Or, BMW's got their GS, obviously, which is, I feel, a little bit even bigger of a monster. But
it's bigger. It's I think they're heavier.
Yeah.
And
they feel like they'll be wider.
They're also, they're German, so the maintenance, you're gonna have to keep up on it.
Yeah.
It's got a higher cost. They're great bikes when they run.
Yeah.
But this is a liter. I mean, it's a meter bike. It's
yeah,
Japanese. It'll run as long as you put oil and gas in it and take decent care of it.
That's a great looking bike.
Oh yeah, so that's aftermarket LED bar. That'll light up the entire trail. I almost never even turn these on. But so radiator's in here.
Okay.
And it's got a fan, electric fan. And since the radiator's here and not in the front where it traditionally is, they brought the engine forward and down, so the center of gravity is just above the pegs.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's a really nice center of gravity.
It's really, really nimble. Like, it doesn't feel like it's almost 600 pounds.
Really? Wow. So it's like little design aesthetics like that kind of really change the dynamic of a bike.
So it looks really wide, but there's not much bulk. Like that's just, plastic. So it looks huge, but technically the bike is not much bigger than a standard motorcycle.
And I mean, you look at like the R11, that sits like a lowrider in comparison to this. I know obviously it's a street bike, but I mean, you look at the size of that from 95 to 2003, I mean, like, it's amazing.
The only thing is oil filters right up front. So if you're gonna take them off trail, you've got to have some kind of skid plate.
Because from the factory, it didn't have this.
No.
So you hit one rock and that filter's done for
I think it had a plastic one that's good for dirt, but it's not going to take a strike.
But if you had one rock come up there, that's it.
It's toast. It's toast.
So that's something to note for somebody looking at one of these. Make sure you got a skid plate, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that's like really giving you much fits with this, or that you would change up if?
No, it's actually been pretty good. Some of the quirks, if you tend to ride it off-road a lot,
okay,
is there's not a switch to kill ABS. You've got to trick it.
You have to trick it.
So you've got to put it on the center stand, put it in first gear, let it run.
Okay.
And then after a few seconds, it thinks there's an error. You'll get the light, and then the ABS won't work.
That's how you bypass it.
That's how you bypass it. There's not a switch. It's got a sport and touring mode on the throttle. and they're 2 different maps. A lot of people go in and have it flashed.
Okay.
Totally something different. And then what else? Oh, the traction mode. So it's got 3 different traction modes. So 1, 2, and then off. But to be off, you have to be at a complete stop, so you can't do that on the fly. But you just come up here and you hold this button, and you'll get a traction light, and it'll say off. And
Okay.
then you can spin the tire.
So you can completely disable
You
it.
can completely disable it.
Okay.
Which, off-road, I never ride with traction.
Yeah.
I almost never turn the ABS off because I just don't ride this that hard.
Yeah.
And it's really, really good.
That's good to know.
Oh, and it's got a, so it does have an independent rear, but it's tied together through the ABS system, so it's linked, or I don't know what they call it.
So the front and the rear brake are linked.
So you can pull the front brake and
Yeah.
it'll apply the pressure to the rear. If you apply rear first, there's a shuttle valve, I think, inside, so that will then disconnect them.
Really?
So if you hit the brake in the rear first, then you can hit the front, and then they're independent.
And the suspension I see is, you know, you can adjust your ride comfort, I guess, or weight.
Yeah,
based.
yeah, that's a preload. And
Wow.
you can see the little meter right there. And then below, I think you can set bound and rebound on that one. It's been a while. But this one you've got the adjustments on the front, top and bottom, so preload, bound and rebound.
Well, let's go see what riding a Ténéré is.
S10.
S10 is all about, and it looks like a wonderful bike. Cool. All right, so starting this guy.
I think it's in neutral. Usually on inclines, I leave it in gear.
Key on, cycle it. Easy does it, huh?
So it's in sport mode.
Perfect.
If you, for some reason, want to feel the difference, it's got to be at idle. It won't change modes
Perfect.
if it's not at idle, but
Okay.
you can do that on the fly, so it's back in sport.
Wonderful.
You're on traction mode, so if you're coming up here and you like hit some bumps, its traction mode is just to pull the throttle back. So
Perfect.
you got it.
All right. Yeah, I like it already. All right, so this is my first ride on a Yamaha Ténéré leader bike. We're actually gonna go left here. I've never ridden one of these before. In fact, the newest ADV bike I've ridden is my BMW Paris Dakar. But I'm actually pretty impressed already just by the center of gravity. Kevin was exactly right. I feel that the center of gravity on this bike is very low. It does not feel top heavy at all. It's very nimble. It's I call them like a two-handed throttle almost. You know, it's very and that motor sounds absolutely glorious. It's like a mix of a Ducati and I don't even know how to explain it. It sounds phenomenal. I can tell right off the bat that the handling of this bike is actually going to be quite amazing. You know, you get on some ADV bikes, especially the older ones, they just feel really top heavy, which I totally get. You have a lot of bike to pack and add high ground clearance, and that is good for clearing stuff. But when you got to go slow turns, top heavy can be kind of a nuisance. But this, yeah, I mean, it's like, I'm impressed. Traction is good. Throttle response is not bad, actually. It doesn't have near as much bottom as I thought, but you can definitely tell it picks up right as you start getting into the higher. Oh, I can't get over that sound. I would get such bad gas mileage if I owned this bike because I'd always be in the throttle like 24/7. It just sounds amazing. Sounds absolutely wonderful. And the blips. Alright, so dirt-wise, the grip is actually good. It's predictable. It's exactly what I expected out of an ADV bike. Let's see how it is on asphalt. Alright, come on, turn here. Oh. Let's see. Ooh, there's another dirt right there. Let's stay on asphalt, actually. We'll come back to that dirt road. Alright. My approval of this bike is already... I'm impressed. The power is very linear, and it pulls all the way through. You know, I don't know a lot about these Ténérés, except that they were competitive in Dakar back in the day, but the new ones I didn't know a lot about. My buddy Kevin has one. I'm like, let's do a little video on this bike, because A, it looks good, and I haven't done anything on a modern ADV bike, truly, and yeah, I'm impressed. That is a very good power band. Oh. That's the only downfall. If you have a bike that sounds really good, you're guaranteed to be always in the throttle. Braking wise, let's see what the brake is. I mean, yeah, brakes are great, it's responsive. I'm not gonna lay on them because I don't know this bike well enough. But yeah, I mean, I'm impressed. Stop's great. Alright, low speed turning. Let's see what... Balance wise, I mean, that's phenomenal. You can literally do no speed. Clutch feels great. It's a little heavy with the clutch lever, but that's not a problem. I think... I mean, you can literally do U-turns. I mean, think about it, 600-pound bike. Let's see how slow we can ride this. Feet are not coming down. Feet are still up. That's phenomenal. I love it. Yeah, dumps right into the corner. Effortless coming into the corner. In fact, it almost comes in the corner faster than you'd expect. Torque-wise is not near as high as I thought, but it makes up for it in the mid-range. Rolling on the throttle here, and now it starts really pulling through. Tell you what, if you're on the market for one of these, this is a very good modern ADV bike. I knew it would ride good. It's got modern aesthetics that really make it good. It's fuel injected. It's got, you know, multiple braking systems off one lever. But I haven't really spent much time with a modern ADV bike, and I have to say this rides better than I thought it would. Primarily the center of gravity and the overall power of the bike, and the handling I feel is, I mean, it's totally effortless. So I give this bike a solid 8.5 out of 10 just because I haven't spent enough time with it, but from the little that I've ridden it, right off the bat, it was effortless. Sometimes you get on a motorcycle and the adaptation to get used to it takes some time because of just, it's a brand new bike. But this, I feel, is very easy to just hop on and get used to. And I really like that because you don't get that with a lot of bikes. They kind of take a learning curve to get used to. This, it felt like I've been riding this bike for months. It's a very user-friendly, rider-friendly motorcycle. And a nice little asphalt to dirt transition. Traction control works flawlessly as it should. This thing is freaking awesome. It's like, yeah, I did. I transitioned for back and forth. The handling is, did not expect this to handle the way it does. It literally just, I mean, it's effortless.
You set it and forget it. You Ron Popeil the shit out of it.
I'm impressed. You got a good bike. Like, I would, and it also like seat height.
It's adjustable.
I'm a shorty, and I'm completely flat-footed here.
It might go down a little bit. I can't remember if it's up or down.
Well, this is great because I'm 5'8", and when you look at this bike, you're like, that is a tall person bike, and it really isn't. It's short person friendly, which is good, you know. Wow, yeah, this is a winner. I tell you what, I see why this appeals to you. I've never ridden one of these before, and you know how you like ride some bikes and you're like, oh, it takes a little while to get used to. This right off the bat, it was like easy.